The moving truck hadn't even completed backing into my driveway before 3 police cars pulled up screeching, surrounding it like I had just initiated a suburban crime scene. No sirens, only the staccato flash of red and blue lights off the tranquil Maple Ridge streets. I caught sight of an officer emerging from my side mirror, hand fixed on a megaphone. "Sir, back off from the car and put your hands in plain sight." I placed my coffee on the passenger seat and stepped out slowly, hands up, not out of fear for my safety, but raw confusion. And that's when I spotted her, Margaret Peton, president of the Maple Ridge HOA, standing on her immaculate front lawn, wearing a lavender pantsuit, grasping her phone as a weapon. Her mouth was moving rapidly, most likely recounting the incident to whoever unlucky enough to respond to her call. The lead officer stepped over, and I could see the faintest smirk pulling at his lips. "You Nathan Brooks?" "Me," I said. "The one with the small house permits?" Margaret's smug face faltered for the very first time. The officer held out a hand. "Officer Mike Garrett. We received a call regarding suspicious behavior in an illicit building. But all your permits look good." I was 35. Nathan Brooks, former tech industry veteran, 10 years in on corporate nonsense. After decades of pursuing promotions and burnouts, I decided to pursue something easier, a sustainable, minimalist existence. A modest piece of land, a stunning eco-friendly tiny house, remote work, fresh air, less madness. The house I purchased occupied the border of Maple Ridge, legally within the subdivision, but exempt from HOA governance due to a decades-long property dispute. That little fact would prove to be life-changing. Margaret Peton had reigned over Maple Ridge for 15 years. A self-proclaimed queen with an iron fist in pastel-colored gloves. She enforced lawn length, mailbox hue, and even the exact angle to fly the American flag. She once penalized a family $200 for having their garden gnome facing the wrong way. I wasn't opening a nightclub or constructing a junkyard, merely moving in a new, entirely legal tiny home. To everyone else, it resembled a charming cottage. To Margaret, it was an act of war. Trouble began 2 weeks prior to move-in. I was in the process of laying the groundwork when she showed up like a ghost from the suburbs with a clipboard. "Excuse me," she snapped, her tone as pointed as a nail gun. "What precisely do you suppose you're doing?" "I'm Nathan Brooks," I said. "I own the lot." Her gaze narrowed behind her designer glasses. "This is a traditional neighborhood. We have standards." "Good thing I'm not in your HOA," I said brightly, facing my work again. Silence. Then furious tapping on her phone screen. Probably texting her board members or researching property records. "This won't stand," she grumbled, striding away in her sensible shoes. The next 2 weeks were full-on suburban warfare. Letters began arriving every day, each more over-the-top than the last. Threats of neighborhood character, HOA bylaws that didn't even pertain to me. Then there was her live-action harassment, videoing me from the sidewalk, narrating her evidence. "Day 4 of illegal construction," she proclaimed once. "The perpetrator continues to defy community standards." She even convened a neighborhood meeting, complete with a PowerPoint called Tiny Houses Equal Tiny Values, displaying manipulated photos to depict my house as a shanty. In accordance with my new neighbor Tom, she asserted tiny homes attract unwanted things and might taint Maple Ridge's moral character. On the Thursday of my move-in, I came home to discover my plot encircled by orange cones and caution tape, and a giant sign saying construction halt ordered by HOA. I phoned the county inspector. He chuckled. "Guess who's at again, Margaret Peton? You're the 17th phone call this month." I moved the cones. Shortly, Margaret showed up, appearing like smoke. "Those are official HOA markers," she screamed. "Margaret," I replied softly, "your HOA has no jurisdiction here. I presented you with the maps, the permits. What else do you need?" Her face purpled. "I want you to show some respect for this community. We've struggled for years to keep our standards." And then she aired, setting foot on my land and poking her finger in my chest. "You will not ruin what we've worked for with your hippie hut. Go away. You're trespassing." She laughed. "Trespassing? I'm defending property values." "Leave," I told her. That's your only warning. She stormed away, yelling, "You'll regret having crossed me." I had no idea she was speaking literally until move-in day. That morning, Officer Garrett demonstrated the 911 call. Margaret had called an armed men unloading suspicious goods into an illegal structure. Armed men? I asked, waving at my moving crew, 2 college students and Earl, a 60-year-old retiree with a cigarette by the truck. That's what she said. Garrett exhaled. She also said cult activity. 2 additional officers had arrived by then. One of them recognized me right away. Nathan Brooks? No chance. We were in high school together, replied Officer Jake Harrison. This fellow's not building a cult. Margaret edged nearer, her features a blend of shock, fury, and incredulity. Officers, you don't realize, she begged. This building hasn't been sanctioned by our HOA committee. It's in non-compliance. Ma'am, Garrett replied, with patience wearing thin, we've gone through this. Mr. Brooks's property isn't in your HOA. He's complied with all county ordinances. But the looks of it, she complained. Property values, Garrett replied curtly, are not a police issue. Her face turned pale. Jake added, false alarms are a serious offense. You called armed men. I see boxes and furniture. Margaret stuttered. I was being prudent. Garrett pulled out his notebook. Ma'am, I'll need your ID. Making false reports is a misdemeanor. 6 months in jail or up to $1,000 fine. Jail? Seriously? I'm on the HOA board. Being on the HOA board doesn't entitle you to squander emergency services, Garrett shot back. As she rummaged for her ID, I saw curtains flapping up and down the block. Peering neighbors. Tom gave me a thumbs up from his driveway. I want to see your boss, she bellowed. That can be arranged, Garrett replied. Down at the station, after we book you. Book me, she screamed, the high enough to rouse dogs. Not under arrest yet, Jake explained, but you can go willingly, or we do it by the book. She scanned the area for backup. There was none. Her eyes snapped to mine. This isn't over. Garrett smiled. Really, ma'am, it sort of is. He spun toward me. Mr. Brooks, care to file charges of harassment? I felt a part of me wished to, but I needed to reside there. Not today, I replied. I just want to move in peacefully. Margaret was led away in a cruiser, continuing to yell. This is persecution. You'll regret this when property values crash. Neighbors returned to their homes slowly. Tom approached, hand outstretched. Welcome to Maple Ridge, Nathan. Sorry you got introduced her first. Thanks, I replied, shaking his hand. He laughed. Oh, it'll settle down, eventually. By the time the sun went down, my little house sat boldly on its foundation, nothing at all like the eyesore Margaret had dubbed it. That night, I received a text from Jake. FYI, Peton fined $800 for the false report. Try to pay with HOA funds. Treasurer wasn't amused. I smiled. Karma can work quickly in suburbia. Next morning, Tom knocked again. Emergency HOA meeting tonight, he said. They're voting on Margaret's position. This could be it. Every light in the clubhouse was burning that night. I wasn't invited, but Tom texted me updates. They aired every gripe, grass fines, mailbox arguments, even the fabled garden gnome incident of 2019. Then, oh snap, Tom texted. Treasurer just dropped legal bills. $37,000 this year. All her fault. A minute later, she's gone. Unanimous vote. She threw the gavel and stormed out. I sat on my porch, observing her car tear out of the driveway, tires smoking. Within a week, Margaret was officially ousted. Her parking space gone. Her pool key disabled. Her nephew's landscaping job ended. Then came the lawyer's bill, $37,000 reimbursement for HOA funds abuse. According to Tom, she read the letter in a grocery aisle, muttering, "This can't be legal," before storming out and listing her house the next day. She sold fast at a loss. As she drove past one last time, our eyes met. She hit the gas and disappeared. Later, Tom said she moved to a stricter HOA 3 towns over, tried to join their board. 0 votes. The $800 fine stuck. Her $25,000 settlement drew down her retirement nearly to 0. Her name even appeared on a satirical Facebook page, Margaret Peton's Greatest Hits. Finally, the newly formed Maple Ridge Board wrote me a letter. Thank you for your patience during our transition. While not under our jurisdiction, we look forward to being good neighbors. I smiled, sipping my coffee on the porch of my quiet, Margaret-free home. Justice sometimes doesn't appear in courtrooms. It appears in the form of an $800 fine, a $25,000 settlement, and one HOA dictator at last bullied out of her own fiefdom. Final conclusion plus channel outro. Neighbor Wars HQ. That's how it all ended. A quiet street, a new beginning, and one self-appointed suburban queen at last brought down by her own tyranny. I came to live in my little house, seeking tranquility, but what I saw was the downfall of Maple Ridge's most notorious HOA tyrant. Margaret Peton's reign was not one of acclaim, but of fines, court cases, and silence. The street is peaceful now. Children play on the sidewalks once more. People actually smile. And the only flashing lights I notice anymore are from fireflies in the evening, not from police cars. Sometimes justice doesn't require revenge. Sometimes it simply requires patience and a HOA president who at last oversteps. This is Neighbor Wars HQ, where authentic suburban wars collide with poetic justice. If you like this story, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, because let me tell you, in a neighbor game, fences aren't the only boundaries that get crossed.